beast stalker, giant stalker, dragon stalker, crypt stalker, demon stalker, rift stalker, grom stalker, grip stalker, scourge stalker, wind runner, I'm a pony, leaf skill hunter, a death dealer, a life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome.
Welcome to episode 239 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from Thrill of the Wild and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
And I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
Right. Today is Sunday, June the 12th, 2016, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. You can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Alisaunder, is there to take your questions. So let's see what we've got. Announcements. Just a quick update. Just a reminder that BlizzCon 2016 is coming up this November. We kind of mentioned this on the last show, and the WHO is planning the third annual All Hunter Meetup. Foxy, aka at Miss Logan, and she's putting everything together. And just to recap, Thursday, November 3rd, I think was the possibility of the Hunter Meetup. Doing it something in conjunction with Con Before the Storm. So we'll get more details on that as they become available. I do know she's getting ready to order the Hunter wristbands, and she mentioned this on the WHO Facebook page this week. Says they've got a preliminary design, and it just says WHO, I think BlizzCon 2016, and says real hunters, dual wield pets is kind of the tagline that they've come up with here. So she's certainly touting the beast mastery aspect back of hunters, which I guess we'll talk about in a little bit, but it just seems like that may be the kind of direction many hunters will go in this time around once Legion comes up. But once again, in the show notes, we'll put the event sign up, and they are still looking for donations and things to help purchase all the great swag and T-shirts and lanyards and all that good stuff. So once again, thanks to Foxy for doing all the heavy lifting that she's doing, and it's wonderfully appreciated. It should be a good time. Looking forward to that. So on to the news, if you will. So in case you've been living under a rock, you may not know that the Warcraft movie finally hit the United States, the U.S. theaters, North America, I should say, this weekend. Opened on Friday, June 10th, finally. So the wait is over, and I believe all of us, Ali, Synth, Bendak, Delirium, we've all had a chance to see it. So we thought we'd go ahead and talk about this. We'll try and keep this as spoiler-free as possible. Though, like I said, it's hard to know what is and isn't a spoiler since it's technically a story that is known. Although I guess, Ali, you're more the lore expert here, so you would say that enough things have probably changed. They kind of
in a really big way.
They've taken some liberties here, but just generally
a lot of liberties.
See, I viewed it as this, and I guess maybe this probably goes into how well you like the movie or didn't, and if you were going to expect sort of a strict adherence to the canon and to the lore, that you're probably not going to enjoy it. Versus if you were okay with it being sort of an interpretation of characters and events, that maybe you'd be okay with it. And I think I sort of fall on that scale there. I was I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just I really had a good time with it, and it exceeded my expectations. But why don't we go around and Bendak, how about you? What did you think about it? Did you like it overall?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun watching it. Like, I was sitting there like smiling the entire time, just all these little, just pointing my finger at the screen and being like, hey, there's so and so and all this stuff. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could pick it up. I could pick it apart and just on the bad aspects of it as a movie, but just as a Warcraft fan, like, I don't know, it was totally worth it for me. I had a lot of fun.
How about you, Delirium? Did you like it? I know you mentioned you saw it in IMAX 3D, which kind of enhanced things for you a little bit.
Yes, I saw it in regular first and then in IMAX just to get the full spectrum of it. Yeah, I had a lot of fun also, just like Bendak said. There's obviously a lot of problems. I thought some of the animation was pretty terrible, the CGI stuff. But it was I still really enjoyed the movie. I think they found some pretty decent actors. I really like Travis Fimmel. I don't know how to say his name. And a couple of kind of hammy actors, but that's to be expected. At a few points, it felt like kind of watching a made for TV quality movie, but a really good, entertaining made for TV movie.
And Travis Fimmel, I mean, I'm vaguely familiar with some of the cast and who played what, but who did he play?
That's Lothar.
Was he
Benjamin
Lothar? He was Lothar. Okay.
And I don't know if anybody's seen it, but the History Channel has or
Vikings.
it's on Amazon Video. It's called Vikings, which is just a wonderful, wonderful show if you like kind of that period of time. Anyways, he's the star of that show.
Okay. You know, I've heard
It's the
good
only
things
thing I
about
know of
Vikings. Yeah. And Synth, what did you think? Did you like it?
Well, okay, don't get me wrong. I loved the I loved what they did with the story, like just showing the Dark Portal. I loved how they I mean, I guess that's not a spoiler, right? Everyone knew it was the Dark Portal story. Hopefully. Anyway, the storyline was great. I had a lot of problems with just the first 30 minutes of the film. It felt rushed, that's all. And I think it was hard to follow. Even like a fan of Warcraft that I am, and I knew a decent amount of the lore, I guess. I wasn't as familiar with the older stuff, since this did take place, you know, in King Lane's time, right? It was just, I don't know. It felt like they put too much into one movie. I would have loved it if it more. I think if it was a Star Wars-esque Act 1 of 3. But that may be just like what I what I saw that could make it perfect. I just felt like it was missing a little bit of the Blizzard polish. That's all. We're so familiar with Blizzard and how good they are at polishing their stuff before it comes out, and then just to see this not quite up to the perfection that we're used to, it sort of felt a little jarring to me, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Allie? What were your thoughts on the film?
I think you put it pretty well. CGI was pretty impressive. The Griffin, the Wolf, they were just amazing. And anytime that there was orc on the screen close enough that you could see it, I was just looking at the skin and the modeling and just the subtle little textures of the muscles moving under the skin. Just, not even like moving, but just like the random twitches that just happened, and just really, I mean, we already knew that the CGI was going to be amazing, and it is. It really is. But I'm also a lore person, and I love the story of Warcraft, and so I was expecting the story of Warcraft, and I didn't get that. I got a version of it that it's kind of like the Star Trek movie with J.J. Abrams. It's all the same people, and they're not doing anything like they used to do. So it's a little off-putting for me. But it was definitely worth seeing. And I saw it in the 3D IMAX, which was definitely the right choice. And at first my 3D glasses didn't work, so I saw everything in like a double, which was really weird. Huh. And then they switched out my glasses like 20 minutes in, and after that it was just so good. And it was there's little touches of like things for the fans, which I won't get into because you'll know what they are when you see them. But it wasn't the movie I was expecting, and I think that's mostly my problem with it. And it is rushed. I think that once they do like a director's cut and they have just like time to slow down and explain things, even though I know what's going on, I still like to see it and feel it. And I didn't feel it. Not yet, but I will, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is, and I just kept smiling, it was just seeing the world of Azeroth come to life on the screen like that, and just recognizing all of these places that you visit and play in game. I mean, I think that's probably what I enjoyed most of all. It's just, I thought visually and everything else, I thought they really captured the look and feel of the game world, so to speak, but just bringing it to life like that just really was just fun to watch, and it was just very, very enjoyable. Just that sort of that whole sensory, just recognizing little places, little things that you talked about, whether it was just weapons, armor, and the places, Stormwind, and on all that kind of stuff that you've probably seen a lot in the trailers and the previews and things. And it was just really, really fun to see that. But I agree with you that the story, I mean, and I'm not a lore expert by any means, but I've read a couple of the Christie Golden's books that deal with this time period, and it was very different. There wasn't a lot of explanation of what was going on, and it was, quite honestly, I think Duncan Jones may have mentioned what he wanted to do here was, to tell a story about orcs and humans, and I think that's really what he ended up doing. He just found a way to talk about orcs and humans and not, get into all the details of how they kind of met up, this, and all the circumstances of how they got there and how they kind of met up one another, and the real evil behind it wasn't really explained at all in any way, shape, or form. It was kind of very much glossed over.
Yeah, I'll say, granted, I haven't been playing anywhere near as long as most of y'all have, so I might not have the same relationship with a lot of the characters or anything, but at least in the world of book to movie adaptations, my goal, like what I expect, is them to stay true to the themes, not to stay true to the story. I don't know if that really applies for video games as much as book to movie, because I can't think of any really great video game to movie adaptations off the top of my head right now. But that, I felt like I think they got that. Like, they made me feel for the orcs who were being, like, both the Durotan orcs and the ones that were being controlled by Gul'dan. Gul'dan. And so I was glad it kind of made the humans look really weak, which they are in game, so that's okay. I like that aspect. I'm very reliant on technology. So I felt it got a lot of themes from what I know of that time period, even if it changed the plot a lot or changed the story, who did what happened to whom, all that jazz.
Yeah, I think my real only complaint is they didn't give some of the characters enough depth. I think, especially Durotan didn't get enough depth in my mind. He I don't know. Maybe that's just nitpicking a little bit, but maybe maybe it was just the number of characters that they introduced.
Yeah,
I mean, they did introduce a lot of them, and there just wasn't enough depth, especially with Gul'dan. I mean, like, he seemed just so monotone. But I don't know.
There was no villain in this place. Gul'dan, like in the game, should have been the big bad villain. That's the ultimate boss. And he's not actually in the movie all that much. He's kind of impressive when he is, but he's not doing anything. He's always opening the portal and closing the portal, and that's really about all he does. So you can't build him into a villain, you know?
Okay,
it's hard to have heroes without a villain, I guess.
I need to go into a little spoiler part here. It's not a major plot of the movie or anything, so hopefully nobody minds, but turn it off for a second if you want. So there was this point where Gul'dan takes off his robes and fights another orc. I'll leave that out. I'm sure you guys all know what I'm talking about, who've seen the movie now.
I do not want to see a naked Gul'dan ever again.
Right, so it really reminded me of one of the characters from what's the Airbender show, Avatar. I don't know if any of you seen that. It's kind of a anime style show.
Are you talking about the movie or the show?
The show.
Okay.
I
think I know exactly. There was a movie. It's terrible.
There's this old guy who's kind of crazy, and he's an earthbender, and he's old and frail, and then he takes off his shirt, and he's super buff, but in a creepy way. Anyways, Gul'dan was very much that to me. I didn't know how to handle that scene.
Yeah. No, don't watch the movie. That's the M. Night Shyamalan movie. No, don't. But oh yeah, Munchie Fest says King Boomy.
Yeah, that's it, Boomy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I didn't mind that so much. And it was, the way they did it. It also reminded me a little bit of Yoda from at the end of Attack of the Clones, where he comes stumbling in the room with his cane, and then all of a sudden he pulls out his lightsaber and goes to town on Count Dooku, which was unexpected. It was kind of in that vein. I guess, but it seemed to work. I don't know, it worked for me, I guess.
Did anyone else think the green orcs were a little cartoony? I felt that way, especially during like the chase scenes. They felt a little bit cartoony to me. Maybe that was just I didn't see it in IMAX 3D, so maybe that was it.
I mean, I thought all the CGI looked very cartoony to me, so I don't know if that was supposed to be the style or not.
I didn't take it as cartoony, but they're just massive. They really are. It's like they're even bigger than they are in the game compared to a human, which was a little disconcerting as well for me, I think, now that you mention it.
Well, I really liked how big they made the frost wolves. Those are great.
Oh, so good. And
It's a
Griffin
tiny,
was huge
tiny
as
little
well.
nod to hunters there. Very small though. I don't know if you guys caught that when the one orc like is telling his wolf to attack.
Mhm.
That was like the only hunter thing.
It really was, right? I mean, yes, there was we saw the ranged weapon, but then, like you said, that particular scene, but none of it coming all together within, say, like a single character that you could identify as being a hunter per se. But then again, I don't think they really got into classes all that much. I mean, other than
Just the mage.
yeah, exactly, just some of the abilities of specific characters themselves. But there was no one like, oh, I'm a warrior. Oh, here's the shaman. Here's that kind of thing. That they certainly didn't go down that route.
Yeah, it was all pretty generic kind of magic use,
Mhm.
and I swung a sword, kind of just very generic, easy for people to understand.
A lot of bubbles. A lot of shields.
Yeah, someone was saying, Munchie Fest was saying in chat, he didn't like how Garona was small and sort of more human than orc. And my understanding, she's not human at all, correct? I mean, she's
She's
Orc.
supposed to be half Draenei.
half Draenei and half
But
orc,
she's
right?
half-
Draenei father and an
human.
orc mother, because Gul'dan said that he killed her mother.
Yeah.
Or she said that Gul'dan killed her mother.
But what were you saying, Bendak?
In the movie lore, she's half human. And
Did
apparently
they say
in the,
that at some point?
well, Duncan Jones said that, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
he said that the scene that explains that was cut, and it might be like if there is a director's cut, it'll probably be in there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I certainly got the sense. I didn't get the sense. I wasn't sure. It wasn't clear to me, because, like I said, from the lore, I'm always familiar with her being half orc, half Draenei. But this seemed to imply that she was half human and certainly made to look, part human, part orc, which is interesting if that's the route they decide to go.
Well, if you go that route, it still doesn't make sense lore-wise, because there was only one human that could possibly be the father.
Well, it would be.
Uh,
Would it be an orc father?
No,
That's what
wasn't,
I
uh,
too, but
wasn't- is she
I got out
originally-
thinking like, oh, is he the father?
They never say it, but he's the only one who was across the dark portal at the time that she could have, been conceived. And in which case, why would they kill the mother? It doesn't make sense. There were no humans over there at that time, except for the one.
It's
Who I'm
all
trying not to say in case people are into the lore.
Yeah, it's still all a little bit nebulous in my mind. So I you know what? I am gonna reserve judgment until I see the director's cut, because I am gonna go see the director's cut or buy the movie and all that stuff.
Apparently,
Oh,
there's
definitely.
30
We
to
definitely
40
need a
minutes
a
cut.
sequel. I think the sequel will be a little bit better because they don't have to explain things as much as they did this time. They can just tell the story, and they don't have to explain why we have orcs and why we have humans.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't explain the clan structure at all. Like, why are there? What are war chiefs? What are I went to go see this with my wife, and she had a lot of questions.
Yeah, I would have to think that someone who's not familiar with the Warcraft universe or any of that would have a hard time with this film and understanding it. And it even goes beyond just the nuance of recognizing, little Easter eggs here or there. I think just the whole setup would be kind of hard to figure out without, going online, say, and reading about it afterwards.
Yeah.
I just sort of felt like if you weren't familiar with the
think that-
game or any of this, that it would be tough to understand.
I think that the trailers didn't help. I think that the trailers could have maybe educated people about the universe a little bit, which would have helped going in. But they the movie was kind of a mess for me, and I think that a lot of what's missing would have helped that. And the trailers, we've all commented about the trailers for months now, but I think a lot of what's missing is going to be in the DVD, and I really hope so. And I'm definitely going to get that as well. But it was just kind of a hot mess, is really what it was. It's worth seeing. CGI is fantastic. Watching the knights run around in 40 pounds of armor and actually running in that stuff, that was pretty amazing. That was almost more amazing than the orcs, watching them do that, because that's real effects.
Yeah, I do have to say I loved the armor. I loved the weapons. I just everything visually was a masterpiece. Even if it did seem a little bit cartoony at times, I feel like it was. I mean, it could have been artistic, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So-
I have one question though that's just burning on my mind. What happened to his boots?
Oh, they got stuck in the clay thing.
Golem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was it was very. I'm trying to do this without spoilers.
It was fast, and so I missed it. So I was
Yeah.
why? Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It was like an odd little detail they threw in there. It was I thought it was sort of distracting at one point to see him in barefoot like that. It was like, I don't know. They could have gone either way on that, but yeah, that's what happened.
It made him faster, right? That's.
But
battle scenes were really short. I was kind of hoping they'd be longer, but maybe I'm just bloodthirsty.
Well, I think there's a lot of agreement on the plot being rushed a little bit, and the amount of time in the movie being too short for what we needed. So
there's a lot going on in that. I mean, that whole story and that whole time, though. I think there's a lot. There's just a lot of story, a lot of events, a lot of people, a lot of characters. I think it's kind of hard to fit into a single film, certainly. And I mean, I guess it's probably good enough. I mean, it did really well overseas. It did great in China. You guys it listed some stats here saying about 145 million in China so far, which was more than the Star Wars: The Force Awakens had done over there. So, I mean, it's hasn't been complete. I don't know what the sort of critics have been saying. I think it's been somewhat negative, I suppose. But I guess what I'm saying is I think it's probably good enough to rate another movie a sequel. Don't you guys think?
if Transformers can get another movie, this one will. This one has to.
It just depends on how much money it makes. I read somewhere that in order to completely break even between the budget and the marketing and everything else, they have to make 500 million at the box office.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Internationally or just here?
Internationally, yeah.
Oh, I think they'll make that.
It'll be close, I think. I think they're saying China might make it like to 200 to 250, and then the US might be in like the 60 to 80 range, and then there's the rest of the world on top of that. So it'll be close, but then they have to factor in like Blu-ray sales and all that too.
Yeah, if they
Right, and like I said, if there's going to be like a director's cut extended edition, then that will probably get people out there buying it and wanting to watch it for sure.
Yeah, well, Duncan Jones sort of implied that the director's cut is kind of dependent on how it does, because I presume that they're going to need to do some more effects work for the cut scenes.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
they would have probably stopped doing effects on some of those scenes as they were cut. So
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, and then it gets into the question of what will the story be. I mean, it's for me personally, I'd love to see them eventually get to like Northrend and start talking about the Scourge and the Lich King stuff. But I think we're story wise still a long ways off from those events, and I don't think that the end of this movie segues directly into that. I don't think it gets to that point at all.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think they have to do it in an order like that, though. I think they could make just a few movies that are just telling like the best stories from the whole thing, from the entire Warcraft universe, you know? And Arthas would definitely be one of them.
Yeah, I would love to see Arthas on film. I mean, I guess the challenge with that is that the Arthas storyline, of course, really came to a true conclusion in Wrath of the Lich King. So I don't know how they would come up with an ending for an Arthas story if they're keeping it in that time period. That would be, satisfying. It would have to be, if they try and stick to any kind of lore, I guess it would sort of be open-ended with the Lich King, frozen in the Ice Crown Citadel until we come along to vanquish him.
Well, I did a quick Google search, and 4 days ago, according to the Hollywood Reporter, it's earned about $210 million so far, and that was before it really hit the U.S. 4 days ago.
Yeah, so it's got a pretty good start.
It does. It is. I mean, remember, it's only been out, well, at least here in North America, just a couple of days here. So so that's good.
Yeah,
I think it looks like it's gonna do more. It's gonna do better in other countries compared to North America, though. Because here it has a 25 million opening weekend, which is not terrible, but it's not like amazing.
Well, doesn't today still count as opening weekend for it?
Yeah, but they like estimate it based off of the previous day and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, it's an estimation.
Yeah.
I will say that my friend that just started playing World of Warcraft about a year ago, she just loved it. Everything about the movie. So there's that.
Yeah, I would say the less you know about the story, the more you just sort of know about Warcraft in general, but less details you know about the story, probably the more likely you are to just sit there and enjoy it for what it is my guess. At least that's the way I sort of felt about it. It's like, yeah, it was just, it was a fun ride for me. And like I said, it made me want to, I'm not saying it wanted to make me go back and play World of Warcraft, but I did sort of give myself a nice flight tour over Azeroth and Stormwind and places like that just to see. It made me sort of wonder if this is one of the issues with the current game in World of Warcraft, is that with each expansion we seem to get further disconnected with like sort of the places like Stormwind and Ironforge and the main world. I don't know if there's a fix to that. Obviously with Legion we're going back to Azeroth, but I don't know if there's a way to make those places relevant in any way or important, if that would sort of make the game feel a little better. But go ahead.
Yeah, we had that in Cataclysm. It wasn't exactly the best.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to do another Cataclysm for sure.
Well, we got Dalaran again, so there's that.
So, and is it a different? Is it the same? Since I'm still not in the Legion beta, that I have been doing what I can. But is it the same? Is it the same Dalaran, or is it completely redone and new for Legion?
It's mostly the same, but there's some new areas. Like the center of the city is different. I think there's some more stuff in the underbelly. But a lot of like the same NPCs are still there.
I guess what I'm asking is so, and it's just one. Is it in Northrend, or do they move it? I mean, is it just like if you're going to do Wrath of the Lich King stuff, is that the Dalaran? Are you going to like a Wrath of the Lich King Dalaran, or are you going to like Legion Dalaran? Is it just one Dalaran?
There's still the old Dalaran, yeah.
Oh, there is. Okay.
But there's like a quest that shows or explains how Dalaran moves to where it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And I get when it moves, there's like everything in Dalaran gets like knocked off the shelves and stuff.
Oh yeah, wasn't there some Easter eggs with the gnome butt in a tank and
yeah, something like that.
that was awesome. I like how much detail they put in.
Well, didn't the NDA for the beta come down this week?
I don't know.
Or was that a movie that was the NDA that went down?
Yeah, whatever I saw what those people were talking about, but that wasn't related to the beta. That was just some meeting they had.
Yeah, I don't
There
think
was
the
no
beta
NDA
had-
on the
yeah, there
beta
was-
ever.
Yeah, they stopped doing NDAs for their content
Mhm.
like that. Otherwise, which makes sense. I think that's fine. Otherwise people wouldn't be able to stream it, talk about it, do anything
That's true.
if there was an NDA. So I don't know. I did see something. There was an NDA for something. I don't know what it was or if it's been lifted or.
That was
Although
for the
I-
developer interviews.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay,
Yeah.
so. Huh. Okay, yes, that's what BM Yeager was confirming. Yeah, the NDA was related to the Legion Summit interviews. Okay, so yeah, not really a big deal. Although we got some good
Those were pretty
information.
interesting.
Yeah, there was some good stuff that came out of that. I think if we have time, we can talk about a few of those things. But why don't we move on a little bit to Legion, and we'll talk about some of the Hunter stuff. Since our last show, I think with some of the beta releases, there's a lot of new stuff going on with Hunter pets. A lot of new and very cool pets that are being introduced into the game. So why don't we talk about some of that? Because all I can say is, you're going to need a bigger stable, folks, and because as far as I know, we're not getting more stable slots, but there's a lot of neat looking pets coming with Legion that you'll probably want to make some space for. I know I will.
Yeah, I don't know what pets I'm gonna delete. I mean, already the ones I have there, like, all these rare pets and stuff, and now I got to decide. 'Cause there's like looking at these Legion ones, there's like at least 10 that I want.
Yeah, so let's start with one of them. It's called I believe it's the Lowland Mana Shell, which it's a turtle and it's the Tortoise model.
Mhm.
And they
From
think
Throne of Thunder.
Right, and Tortoise from the Throne of Thunder, as far as we know, is not tameable, correct? Because I mean that's
No.
not the case with all the raid instances, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I don't think Tortoise is tameable. But this is one that has his exact same model as him. But you were saying, Bendak, because I read your post on Eyes of the Beast, that he's not a rare mob, but he may not be that easy to find either.
Yeah, it's the first couple times I went there, I never saw him, and then the next time I went, I found one, and then so there's a bunch of regular turtles in the area, and the way I think it works is that every time one of them spawns, there's like a super rare chance that this mana shell will spawn. So if you go there and you don't see one, just kill a bunch of turtles, and I think one will show up.
That makes sense, and it's a level 110 only zone, correct? Right. So
Right.
you'll have to wait until your max level to be able to get one of those.
Yeah, it's a really cool turtle. I even like it more than the Terrapine, the fire turtle.
Oh wow! And that's I still think that's one of the best looking pets in the game. Period. Is Terrapine. I like him a lot, but
Yeah. Well, that'd be actually a neat combo with make one of them into Haiti or Hadi, and then have the other one as a regular pet. Two pretty cool turtles.
That would be cool, and it would almost be like fire and ice. I mean, Tortoise. He's sort of blue and cool in color, so it's a nice little contrast there. I should say, very cool. So, one of the ones I'm looking forward to is Thok the Bloodthirsty, which is, of course, the big armored T-Rex. Undasta is a similar model, but this was the one from Siege of Orgrimmar, and he is now tameable. I mean, we've been wanting to tame him ever since we saw him in Mists of Pandaria, and now it looks like we're going to be able to do it. And I don't think it's going to be too difficult to get.
No,
sounds like
it's just the difficulty is just getting there, I guess, which isn't that hard. There's no special mechanics to tame him. You just walk up and start taming.
And I believe I don't know if you tried this. I thought it was possible to get him. People were reporting you could get him out of LFR even.
Yep, that's where I got him. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So I mean, even easier, right? I mean, because I think you can go pretty much to that wing and don't have to worry about slogging through some of the earlier bosses in the trash.
Is that new? I didn't know you could go back into LFR. Has that
You
been
can-
there for a while?
It's been there since Warlords. Yeah, you
Wow.
can you go to the Seat of Knowledge in Pandaria, and you can solo queue, or queue with a group for any of the wings. So if you go to the third wing, all you have to kill is Spoils of Pandaria, and then there's Thok.
And that's cool. Now, and during the fight, he's he changes colors, but my understanding is that you're gonna get you won't get to choose the color. He'll be just or get it. He's just gonna be the default color when all is said and done. So
Yeah.
And also, I'm pretty 100% sure that Undasta is not tameable. I don't think they'll ever make a world boss like that.
No, I'm
Think you
skeptical
got-
that they make a world boss, but I think isn't there one of those something like Undasta on the Isle of Thunder, like a similar one? So
There-
I mean that's
there
always
might
a
be.
possibility. Yeah.
Wait, that's where Undasta is. What do you mean?
No, the Isle of Thunder is like the Throne of Thunder Island.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
where they let him out.
Yeah.
Maybe there is.
Yeah, and
think you're right.
Rails in the chat room is asking Thok is purely cosmetic. Yeah, he's just a regular devil sword, but he just looks really cool.
He actually looks really good as Hottie because when you make a pet into Hottie, it's like it keeps the electrical effect, and then the electrical effect is right where his big shock collar is. So it
Oh,
looks pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is neat. That is neat. So yeah, I can't wait to go grab him for sure. And I wonder if because there's going to be this pre-patch. So I wonder if you'll actually be able to get him. You might actually be able to go and get him as soon as that pre-patch is
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you will be able to.
comes out. So you might not even have to wait for Legion to go get Thok, which is cool. Another one coming is called Bullwinkle, which is great. And as you might guess, he's a moose and he's a spirit beast moose, correct?
Yep. It's exactly what you'd expect. He's just a transparent blue moose.
Right. Does he? I guess it looks similar to, what was the mount we just got? Or is he not even that decorated? Just more like a plain old
No,
moose?
he's just he's like the spirit beast. He's like Arcturus, but moose.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you sort of listed it here. He's just a rare spawn, maybe. So he's just kind of like the old school style of spirit beast, where he just you have to show up there and camp and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's not as long as the old school ones. I think it's. I don't know the exact time. I'd say roughly 2 hours.
Yeah, that's not too bad at all. Because I mean, you can have a good chance of finding that. I like that. And I guess you said he's in Stormheim is one of the ones. Isn't that where our class order hall is, or which zone is the class order hall
No,
in?
that's in High Mountain.
High Mountain. Yeah. And what else is coming? And you had mentioned Mana Sabers as a new exotic family. So what are the Mana Sabers?
They look like the Mystic Rune Saber, the mount from the store. They're pretty much the same thing, but just without the saddle and everything like that. They look really cool, but it's kind of weird because they're like their own family, but right now there's only 2 colors, and I think there might be a third, and I don't know, it just seems weird to me. And plus, they don't have a special ability, whereas all the other exotics have special abilities. So it's it's weird.
That is
They
weird.
increase your mana.
Yeah.
JK.
But that's odd because I mean I've seen the Rune Saber. It looks like, most other cats. So why not put it in the cat family, or make it a spirit beast? I suppose either way. But to have it sort of be, it gets kind of confusing. But it's an exotic pet, so that means you'll have to be beast mastery, I guess, then to get it.
Yeah, they do look really cool, but I don't know. I guess we'll get into those pet abilities later. I wrote something in the notes, but it's kind of weird how they are right now.
Yeah. So those seem to be the big, I guess, what do you say, non-mechanical pets. Those are sort of the normal pets, and pretty much all of them.
Those are just some of the cooler ones. There's a lot of other pets, but yeah.
And
Some
with
of the
Thok,
standouts.
Bullwinkle, and the Mana Saber. So all 3 of those are exotic. So you'll need to be beast mastery in order to get those, whereas your survival hunters can get the tortoise model. Well, I guess marksmanship too. I forgot marksmanship has its pet now. So.
Right. So Bendak, have you heard? Is there anything that's going to be on the level of the Garrett quest lines, or even the what's the green fell wolf name?
I'd say the closest to that is one we're about to talk about, the Iron Juggernaut.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the Iron
Let's
Juggernaut.
talk about mechanical pets.
Yes, mechanical pets. Yes, and the Iron Juggernaut specifically. But so let's talk about some of the notes. We have lots of different. You said there's lots of different challenges from rare spawns to crafted pets, which is cool. So they did talk about doing that, right? I mean, making these taming challenges and things like that. And it looks like they really put some thought into this and came through. But you noted, Bendak, there a few of them are simple walk up and tame pets, so that's good too. I like the fact that there's a mix. So let's talk about these undiscovered. You mentioned there's like green and orange mechano wolves. I mean, when you say they're undiscovered, are you 100% positive that they're in the game, or?
Not 100% positive. Just know that they exist in like the game files. I don't know if they're actually out there yet, but they could be a future one too.
Right. Yeah, that's entirely possible, right? They could be holding those for a later patch, and not everything could be expected to come at launch, which would be okay. And you made a good point that these will be tameable in 7.0 pre-patch. However, the professions won't be updated in the pre-patch necessarily, right? So you won't be able to, unless you're a goblin or a gnome, you won't actually be able to go and tame these things. You'll have to wait.
Yep. But that's one thing I noticed, because on the beta, every once in a while, on the character page, you can change your race. So I was able to tame things as a gnome, tame mechanicals as a gnome, and then switch to like a dwarf, and I could still use those pets. So I guess if you got money to burn and you really want those mechanical pets early, you could double race change and get them.
I guess so. I mean, that seems like a bit much, but it is. I guess it's good to know that is a possibility to do that. I couldn't imagine going through that length. So I'll just be happy to wait. Though I probably will make a gnome hunter at some point in this expansion. I may burn my level 100 boost on that. Actually, I'm giving strong consideration to making a gnome hunter and just boom, instant 100 and go from there. Well, let's talk about Iron Juggernaut, which of course is one of the bosses in Siege of Orgrimmar, and it is now going to be. Well, it's not really. It's tameable. However, it's not like just go fight your way to the boss and then hit the tame button, right? It's you've got to craft one first, apparently, which is very cool. So you kind of worked with some of the folks, or at least I forget who the person was from Petopia, but you and that person kind of spent a lot of time in Siege of Orgrimmar just when you thought you were done with that place, trying to figure out how to collect all the parts and craft it. So why don't you talk about what's involved in getting an Iron Juggernaut?
Yeah, so the Iron Juggernaut, like Darkbrew said, you have to actually craft it before you can tame it, which is pretty neat. I don't know if I should like spoil this, because I know some people like discover it on their own. So if you want to do that, just mute for a few minutes. Basically, you have to go through Siege of Orgrimmar and collect some parts, and then use those parts to craft a deactivated Juggernaut, and then you use that thing to summon a Juggernaut, and then you tame that Juggernaut. There's 4 different colors. The first part, it drops off of Iron Juggernaut, it's a pile of Juggernaut parts, and then you have to go to Siege Crafter Blackfuse to get his power core. And then the last part is the one that took forever to find out. There's these little tiny paint buckets that are like thimbles of paint, and they're scattered around the Siege of Orgrimmar, which is a big place. Like, it's a big place. Like, I spent hours in there. And so we finally found these little paint buckets, and you combine the paint bucket with these 2 parts, and it makes the Juggernaut. And it's pretty fun. It was like pretty fun to discover it all and everything, and they're really cool pets too.
Yeah, that is very cool. And the fact that there's 4 colors means you can go back and pretty much spend a month if you want scavenging parts and getting one of each kind.
Yeah, you can only make 1 per week. Even if you run it on different difficulties, it'll still only drop it once per week. You can do it on normal, heroic, or mythic, but not LFR.
Yeah, that's a good point. That LFR apparently is not available. So just those 3, which, as you say, shouldn't be hard to solo, with the exception of which was Galacras, right? That's still, because of the mechanics, you can't solo that boss.
Yeah, you need a friend for that. Just someone to shoot the cannon. What else? It only drops one part per run, so if you're in there with like a hunter friend, you're gonna have to take turns because it's only gonna drop one part. So I would suggest if you're running it with someone else, maybe you run it twice, once on normal, once on heroic, and then you can both make one.
That makes sense because even though you can go and run these instances, you can only get loot you can only loot the boss one time, right? So if you get two hunters in normal and one of you gets it, it's not like you can go back and run normal again and the other guy can get it. So because you'll be, but I guess if you change difficulties, of course, that's a good way to go.
Yeah, and it's perfectly soloable at 110. Even a lot of it even is pretty easy at level 100 in normal mode.
Right. So, and I mean, when you say 110, and you're in pretty basic gear at that point at level 110, so it's not like you have to go and get raid gear for 110 level, 110, gear from the raids and the dungeons and things like that. You're just pretty much whatever you're wearing, and just by that, and the fact that you're level 110 seems to be enough that you can just kind of plow through the blaze.
Yep.
So yeah, that's very cool, and that's just one of many. I guess there's another one called Friender, which is you said a blue Mechano Wolf in Nomergon. So what is this one like?
This one is different. You have to solve a little button puzzle, and then when you solve the puzzle, it activates him, and then that's how you tame him. He hits really hard, so you have to use Aspect of the Turtle. Then there's another one. There's a mechanical gorilla in Ungoro Crater, Amy02. It's kind of like a traditional taming challenge where you have to kite it, get it below 30% health. So I just use concussive shot. I'm not sure what else you would use. Those survival's kind of like, I don't know. I guess just get those throwing axes out and hope you have like 30 minutes to kill it with your throwing axes.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Now that's different. Now Amy, is there an Amy 01? I think right.
Amy 01 was part of a quest.
The quest, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But she was friendly, so then everyone was like, oh, we want to tame the mechanical gorilla, and then so Blizzard just threw in Amy 02.
That's what I thought. I thought the quest one was Amy 01. I remember that from vanilla, and I forget what you had to bring to activate her, but it was one of those items where you never had it, right? You get down there and you'd be like, oh crap, I'm missing these mithril bars or mithril something. It was some crafted engineering item, and I don't remember, like, wouldn't have it, and then you'd have to go, hearth out and go to an auction house and hope you could buy them or craft them or something, and then make your way back to Ungoro Crate. It wasn't like you could do all this stuff instantly, by the way, either. All that travel.
Yeah, and you had to go through the cave too, so that by the time you're done in there, you're like, oh crap, everything has to be, everything's respawned now. You have to,
Yeah, caves are just like that, generally speaking, not to digress too much here, but I always dreaded going into a cave or something like that, right, where you had to go to the end of it, because you just knew you were going to fight your way in, and you're going to have to fight your way out. But, all right, so there's more. Gosh, you got a whole bunch of these.
There's a ton of them, yeah. We can go through them quickly, I guess.
Yeah, did you have a favorite that you tamed?
Jeez. I say the Juggernaut. I don't know, just because of what I went through to tame it, but outside of the mechanicals, definitely Thok.
Yeah, that's just so cool. Yeah. I'm so excited about that.
So, so the next one is the Sentient Mechanostrider, which is also in Nomergon, right? So you said a unique color Mechanostrider. So it comes in 3 colors, is that right?
No, it's a tricolor thing.
Oh, it's a tricolor thing. So it's yellow, pink, and blue. Cool.
Yeah, this one, it's there's these punch cards in Nomergon. Some people will be familiar with them, but you have to like collect them in order to unlock different areas, and so you have to collect like 3 different colored punch cards, and then you get the prismatic punch card, which unlocks this room, where this new Mechanostrider is. But you can only tame him if you have this weapon that drops off another boss in there equipped. So yeah, I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's pretty It's it's on Wowhead and everything, but it's pretty involved. It's pretty neat. Like I don't even know how the person who discovered it.
People are good at that. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I remember when we did the Gara quests for Warlords of Draenor. I mean, that was hard to figure out, even with all the clues and the data mined information. It was still a bit challenging. I don't know how people go about doing that, and it's pretty amazing how they just have this sense of where to look and what to do. Just piece these things together.
A lot of it's just spending time too.
Mm-hmm. Trial and error.
Looking behind every crate in Orgrimmar. Yeah.
There's another one called Tecton, which is a exploding sheep found near Elwyn Forest. Now, is this the one that's up on that little hill?
Yeah.
So that's the one. Okay.
Um,
so you said you had to tame it before it reaches you, or it blows up and knocks you back. So can you freeze it or no?
yeah, you can crowd control it.
Mm-hmm.
Just freeze it or binding shot or something like that.
Yeah. So did they change it? Because right now it's almost like a critter. If you go into the game today, where
It's an actual mob. It's just really low level.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of weird having a sheep as a pet, but it's pretty
Yes.
cool too. So then there's the weaponized rabbit, which is the mech bunny. It's the same pet that a brand new level 1 gnome hunter starts with. So this is an alternate way to get it if you're not a gnome.
Mhm.
And it's a rare spawn in near Tinkertown. Then there's Nuts, which is a robo squirrel in Ashara. And this is another little puzzle that you have to solve. You go to the secret lab, which is in Ashara, and inside one of the buildings there's a little book you can read, and it'll give you some instructions on how to activate Nuts. It's just activating stuff in a certain order. And the next one is War Iron Axebeak, which is a mechanical toucan. This one's actually in Tanan Jungle, in the little outside area of Hellfire Citadel. And he's guarded by a couple of NPCs who will throw stun bombs at you when you try to tame him. So you just have to deal with those guards. And Treble and Rush are the Mechano Wolves. I think we covered them in a previous show.
We did talk about that. Yeah, I don't know if we knew about both of them. I think at the time, we'd only figured out how to do. People had only figured out how to get one of them. I thought, or didn't know where the second one was.
Yeah, it's like the track hunting from Miss Pandaria, except this time you track little puddles of oil on the ground, and then you reveal it with your flare, and then tame it. Treble's a black wolf, and Rush is a red one. And then there's a few more common ones. Oh, damn, there's a couple different colors of Mechano Striders and Mechano Chicken. So there's a lot of.
Well, did we lose the call? Oh,
Crafted one. There's these.
So I don't know.
oh, there was a lot of.
It is more than 16.
There was a lot of lost audio there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was I saying when I cut out?
It was only
I
about
think
5 seconds.
I think what happened is somebody took and they kind of squeezed the cord together,
Mhm.
and then they let it go, so it all came out real fast.
But right in between, I don't know if I'll want. Well, if I'll need. Well, I certainly don't need all 4 flavors of Iron Juggernaut, but I may very well want all 4. Maybe not the gray one, but I mean. So yeah, I'm gonna have to. So the last BM Jaeger said he heard was the Mechano Chicken. Yeah, so that was Haywire Battle Chicken in Loch Moden, and then you mentioned the Proto Strider and then Optimo, which are both Mechano Striders, all found in Loch Moden.
Yep.
So, well, why don't we talk about the other hunter pet talk, if you will, because you had mentioned questioning what was going on with pet abilities, and what is going on with pet abilities. Or don't we know?
They haven't touched them since they deleted all of the raid buffs, and then they haven't touched them since.
So
Right.
right now there's a lot of inconsistency then, right? I mean, because the exotic pets all had special ability or two, um,
Or 3 even.
or three. So some of them I assume have retained those, but others have not. And it certainly sounds like, when we mentioned earlier that some of the new ones they've introduced they haven't added anything to them.
Yeah, the new ones, plus a lot of the existing ones have nothing now too. So the one example I listed was like a turtle or a crane has these really useful abilities, and then a wolf or a mechanical has nothing. And so I don't know if that's intended or they just haven't got around to it or what.
Yeah, it seems weird because, anytime you have something like that, you might be inclined to use a turtle,
Spirit beast, basically.
everywhere you go. or and just because of that little bit of extra. I don't know if it matters as much if you're out soloing and doing stuff, but maybe. I mean, the crane has the battle res, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could see wanting to bring that or have that available, in a raid situation or a dungeon situation. And using a pet like that exclusively just for those times. Which I don't know, I think it sort of defeats the purpose of anytime you have a pet that can do something a little bit extra, a little bit cool, you're just naturally inclined to bring that, or it's expected sometimes.
Yeah. So I don't know, I just hope they do something with that. Either just make a consistent one way or the other. Either only exotics have special abilities or everything has an ability or something. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I would think I would like to see it be consistent, and you never want it. It's never fun losing anything. I'm just trying to think what abilities. I mean, do we still have like the bloodlust / heroism? I mean, is that still?
Yep, that's still a thing.
So that's still a thing. I'm just trying to think the utility we had. Of course, the battle res, and then it basically was a bunch of sort of defensive abilities. No.
Yeah, that's like the shell shield and stuff like that. And then I think there was like immortal wounds debuff, stuff like that.
So maybe they ought to just remove them outright. Then I suppose. I don't want to. I hate calling for a nerf or something like that, but I just think it kind of defeats the purpose of having all these different pets, and if you're going to have a few that do something a little bit extra special like that. But I mean, you hate to lose some of that utility as well.
Yeah.
Like the battle res and the bloodlust. It's good to have that. But with all the buffs and debuffs gone, in that way, maybe it's just not a good fit for pets to do any of those things now.
Yeah, I'm all right with exotics having special little perks, but even that, it creates problems too, because it's Beastmaster. It's like, well, I better use my Spirit Beast because you never know when that heal will come in handy.
Yeah, exactly. And it like I said, and if it's mostly coming from the exotic pets, then you're really only talking about it applying to the Beast Mastery spec. So marksmanship and survival don't really benefit from that at all, because they can't use those particular pets. But I don't know. I mean, any thoughts from you, Delirium, on that, or?
Yeah, I have no idea what they could do to make it interesting and fun. I'm at a loss.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they want to strip them off the pets and give me some more stable slots, I'm willing to do that particular trade-off. But I mean, it is a problem. I mean, I don't, because like I'm sure most of you, I have a whole bunch of rare, hard to get pets that I don't use them all the time, but a lot of effort went into getting them. So
Right.
If you're playing Beastmastery, you will be using them technically. because there's that glyph that makes your dire beast summon from your stable.
Oh, that's true. That's
And
true.
it's really damn cool because you see all of your stabled pets all the
Yeah.
time.
I love that. That's awesome.
It's one of my favorite things, like out of everything Hunter in this expansion, because it's just so cool being able to. I got 50 pets stored away there. Barely ever see them. Now you see them all the
Exactly.
time.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. And are they just do they? Well, I don't know if you have do you have the nameplates on them too? Do you see their names pop up as well, or?
No, you don't see their names. Unfortunately, they're just dire beasts.
But like I said, I'm just glancing at it. Yeah, there's just a lot of pets that were hard to get that, you know, I wouldn't want to delete. So I'm going to have to see which ones are, the ones that I can just go up and get anytime and delete those, I suppose, and make room for the others. But I bet I'd be hard pressed to find enough slots.
So how many spirit beasts are we up to with the Legion moose?
I want to say it's like 13 or 14, something like that. It's just a guesstimate. It's around that area.
I think you're right. I'm just looking at my stable. I've got like a dozen in there now. Maybe I already have 13.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd feel safe deleting the porcupines, but that's about it from the. I wouldn't delete any of my other spirit beasts. And yeah, man, there's a lot of these that were the. Was it Cataclysm where they put in all the rares that were the older in old content?
Yes, they did. There were
so,
things, those rares like the Dragon Hawks. There was a nice one, like pretty much an all black color. He was hard to get. There's that little monkey with the fez on top of his head. I mean, so there's a ton of rare pets like that were introduced.
Yeah, I have no idea how hard those are to get these days, but I'd feel real bad deleting any of those.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of even the really not at all rare ones that I just got when I was leveling. I don't want to delete them just out of my own little feels.
Yeah. I mean, I've got like a Hydra. I suppose I could get rid of that, or I've got Fox. I could easily get rid of that. And but some of them I like. I don't want to get rid of them because I got them because I like the way they look. It's just a question of, am I going to like the way the new ones look better? So we'll see.
Well, how many hunters do you guys have? Because maybe you could put them on like a second hunter.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
How many hunters do I really need to have lock on?
It isn't the same.
You got your main, which is like, I got some cool pets in my alts, but it's not the same.
But especially for these mechanical ones, I like the idea of my main not having any of those because they're dumb and not huntery. But if I made a gnome hunter to be silly, he could have mechanical pets. Problem solved. And I can still get to do the content, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day when I can race change my dwarf over to gnome hunter.
Something's going on with this call. It's like
that
dropping.
even more than.
Oh,
Whoa.
yeah,
Yes.
Ali got cut out there.
Yeah. Good old Skype, right?
Mm-hmm.
Allie, you there?
Yeah, all I said was that I'm looking forward to race changing my dwarf over to a gnome, even more than I'm looking forward to the transmog.
Yeah, I don't think I'll change my main hunter to a gnome or anything, but I'll definitely have a gnome hunter.
Yeah, no, I'll have a gnome hunter as well, but I don't think I'll race change any of my existing ones. Maybe, we'll see.
Well, my main hunter is my horde, so this is my secondary hunter. So that's okay.
Another thing too is with Hottie, when you can always have a second pet out, so you can cycle through your pets a lot more.
Yeah.
Come up with some pretty neat combinations too, probably.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make some tough decisions here. Like I said, there really isn't much I want to delete in my stable. So, all right. Well, I think we're good. I know Delirium, you were short on time for today, so why don't we wrap this one up, and then we'll come back in a couple weeks, and hopefully get back on a regular schedule. We should be, Legion's only not that far away now. It's only about a few months, like 80 days or something like that. Maybe a little less than that now. So.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where there's a lot of stuff to kind of talk about and go over, and
there is. We should talk about the
feedback on,
specs and things like that too. Again, kind of address, look at. Yeah, it'd be good to get a look at where they all are and get some thoughts on what we're leaning towards for Legion. So that'll be good. So we'll save that for another show. But on that note, you have been listening to episode 239 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
And I'm Bendak from eyesofthebeast.com, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
All right. Check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader. And these links will be available on the show notes.
If you have a question or a topic you would like us to talk about on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at huntingpartypod.
All right. Stay thirsty, my friends. And remember to drink your Dark Brew Lager.
Siempre prestar la emoción de lo salvaje.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
For the Horde.
Yay, you went back to it.
Well, yeah.
Because you didn't like the movie very much.
I say for Azeroth was more theme appropriate for the movie, I would say, but we'll take For the Horde.
Well, Legion spoilers have hit.
Yes.
And I'm kind of pissed.
Life stealer, that's just the cost of being an awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer. I rock out with my lockout Viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SB. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top meters every fight. Rated and cave dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed the Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Yogg-Saron, Thorian, Sartharian, Magtheridon, Saphiron, Lucifer to Sulfuron.